Hello, welcome to this video. My name is Ali with Amariespeaks, and this video is going to be just a bit of an introduction to this new playlist that I'm offering and that I am going to be putting up um, segments of in the coming days. So this is all going to be under my Amariespeaks meditation playlists, and this here is going to be an introduction to basic energy templates. I feel like it's really helpful to have a talk and walk through with some visuals about what the energy centers are and how they work within us and how we move through them, and how they kind of can be built sequentially and they can support each other, like the structuring. I feel this is a really crucial and fundamental kind of first understanding to get into when you're looking to incorporate these kind of meditation practices into your life. First and foremost, why we want to do that, right? It's my hope and it's my intention by offering this working and by doing these guided meditations that others will be able to hear the structuring and the directions, sort of like the directionality of the flow, and then be able to incorporate it into their own physical vessel, into their own present moment, even, and use it as a guide internally by yourself to show you the kind of working that needs to be done, and to hopefully, it's my intention here that these guided meditations can permeate into people and become self-guided meditations. I talked a bit about this in my meditation episode on comprehending consciousness, and also in the deep dive that I did around meditation, about how important self-led meditation really is. And whether you like to look at that as a spiritual practice, an energetic practice, if you like to look at it more on that 3D realm and look at it more of introspection, personal development kind of thing, that's okay too. You know, they're all valid reasons that we approach this kind of work of meditation, of quieting our thinking minds, of relaxing our body, of sitting in the present moment and attempting this concept of stillness and oneness. So before I pull up my visuals and my templates, what I'd like to do is just briefly talk about the series, I guess, that I'm going to be creating, and kind of is like this is the kickoff video, I guess. I'm going to be releasing video after video centering on one energy center, and a walkthrough and a cleanse and clear for that energy center. And I'm going to do them in a couple of different themes, I guess we could call it. And themes are important because I feel they give an orientation to the practice, and whatever we're going, whatever kind of healing or expectations that, you know, enlightenment, whatever we're going into the meditation for, or with, you know, the intention of, is sort of like what I'm calling a theme, you know. And I feel we get more out of the work when we have more of a pinpoint of what we're going towards, right? So with these guided meditations, it's going to be my hope to do a couple of different themes of this same structuring of the energy centers mirrored as a tower, and then your physical vessel being the tower, and then being able to go through it, walk through it, ride through it, explore it, and do different types of working that needs to be done, whether it's organization, whether it's cleaning, whether it's clearing out things, whether it's, you know, calming down excitedness and bringing balance into things that have sort of spiraled up into high intensity, or the reverse, right? If we're feeling stagnation and feeling a lack of motivation, perhaps I'll have another series to more spark in creativity into the centers and bring energy up and ignite the centers. And again, there's such a multitude of working just even in between those kinds of themes, because um, each energy center is unique and it comes with its own pros and cons. It comes with its own affinities and faults, right? And so, spending time in each one and discovering those for yourself, and then finding the healing paths through those is individual work that can be done indefinitely, pretty much. And then when you get into how they work together and looking at the body as a whole, and then trying to bring balance into the whole of all of the centers together, that's another layer, a whole other layer of working, right? And so it's my hope here at the beginning, not to confuse or overwhelm, but just to open the eyes of everyone to the multifaceted possibilities that come with this kind of meditation work. I think I am going to call it light and shadow work meditation. I haven't really totally decided, but to me, there is huge avenues and possibilities of working just in a guided sense of light work and a guided sense of shadow work, and then bringing them together in the alchemy that happens within the balancing. I personally feel like this is, what we are meant to do, not just in this crucial pinnacle that we're at here, 2023, but also just as beings in general here in this plane and in existence. I think that we are energy alchemists, and we are here to learn those powers and to learn and harness balance, in a responsible, soul connected, heart connected, mind connected way. And so clearly I have done a lot of these already on my own, and I have made these sort of lots of different connections and creative little ways of looking at things through my own workings over the years. And I'm hoping by sharing them with you, not that I am giving people instructions that they must follow, and that if you don't do them this way, they don't work, or they won't work as well, or you might get bad results or whatever. You're going to get the results that are perfectly made for you because you live your reality. Nobody else actually has the capability of altering or changing or impacting your reality. We make all those conscious choices, and we project our reality out from inside of us. So yes, I'm attempting to give directions, and I'm hoping that people will walk through them and will learn the sequential steps. But at the same time, I really want to leave it loose enough and give enough understanding and motivation to people that it's your choice of how you move through them. It's your choice, the way and the extras that you put into it or you don't, or things that you take away, or things that you don't like. Everything is fluid and open. And if something starts to trigger your senses inside there, it gives you a weird feeling in your gut or a bad feeling in your heart, don't go with it. You don't have to accept everything. And just because one thing vibes with somebody doesn't mean it has to vibe with you. Every person has our own individual thumbprint, right? We all have our own journey that we've walked up to the present moment with. Nobody else carries around that unique backpack of experience that each one of us wears, right? I'm just hoping through mine that I can open up some eyes here and give a little bit more guidance, a little stronger railing along the way for anybody who needs it at any time, So, so that's my little, lead up to why I'm doing this new playlist, and I have a couple of meditations already up on guided meditations. So if you're interested in those, you can definitely check them out. And I will link the tower meditation in here because specifically that is what I'm going to be exploring more. And the tower idea, a quick run through, a quick meet and greet kind of meditation is the one that's up now. It's a brief walkthrough. It's just an introduction of how to get there in your own imagination space, one of the infinite ways to get there, of course, and just what it looks like and feels like, and a quick ride through it, um, to meet it basically, and meet it inside of yourself and get a feel for it. After I put that meditation out, I thought it would be very helpful to have visual infographics and stuff like that to work through. And also, I knew I really wanted to do this deeper, quote unquote, deep dive into that meet and greet type of meditation that I put out already. And so, with this series and these and this kind of walkthrough, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do every single energy center in its own video. The couple that I've made before are very long. They're almost an hour, over an hour each, and we don't always have time for that. And also, we don't always need all of that, right? So my intention and my hopes is by in introducing these within a playlist, that if people do have time or capacity and they want to or need to do all of the centers, then you certainly can, and they will be very similarly set up. And hopefully, I'm going to create an easy stream through in case you want to just listen to them one after another, to where they won't feel too disconnected. And that's why I wanted to put out this video, kind of me talking through it all and giving a lead up to avoid confusion, and also to make it more seamless and make it more comfortable for anybody who does want that kind of more complete experience. I just see huge potentials as well in having them as single videos, single centers, because sometimes single centers are off or screaming out and need attention right away. And so if you see and hear the walkthrough, and we talk about the different centers and what they center around and the work that they offer in each place and space, you might say, oh, I really need that, or oh, that's really triggering to me, or oh, that one feels really hard, or sad, or congested, or trapped. Or maybe it's like, wow, this one's screaming out loud, like really excited over all the others, or this one's really, really powerful and has a lot of depth, but the others don't. That kind of thing is what to keep in mind when you're looking at the whole total. And then you could say, oh, well, I need to go to the heart center. I need to go to my throat center and do a clearing here. And then you can just do the one video, which hopefully is going to be like 20 minutes. That's my real, that's my marker, hopefully, that I'm going to make it on. But I'm so long-winded, and the child inside of me gets caught up in descriptions and creating visuals and creating a whole atmosphere sometimes, that I get lost in my words and I lose track of time. So I can't promise that they're all going to be 20 minutes or shorter or something, but that's my hope and that's my goal. Because if we look at it, and I am going to use a melded together version of the chakra centers from East and Western cultures, because I really resonate with this melding and meshing and intermingling of the different dogmas and the different ideologies, because I think the ideologies and the presented versions have been diluted and perhaps distorted, because they are available and they're very presented in the 3D matrix overlay that we live in, and anything that is within and presented within the matrix, of course, has been run through their algorithms and their data sets, and it has been analyzed and perhaps changed and altered just a little bit to be more presentable to the overall negative atmosphere of the matrix, right? So with that all in mind, I think it's so beneficial that we hold all comparable sort of ideologies, and we take them together and we look for the truths within them, and then we make them real for ourselves, because then it comes from our heart center and our imagination space with our intuition, our connection to source, and originality and organicness. And we will hear the truth, we will know the truth within all of the words and make it our own and live our truth, versus hearing the words and trying to conform your truth to those words, right? We shouldn't be doing that. That's where they get us. That's the hook. That's the tricks of the mind control and the matrix, and turning things negative, the inversions. So don't fall for that. Never conform your truth to fit a template. Use the template to align with your truth, and then allow your truth to bloom inside the template. And hopefully, you will have less infringement, less negativity coming if you do it that way. And so that's why, especially when we get to the third eye center, I will be incorporating more of the three more Western visualizations of the center that have to do with all, not just the pineal gland, but the pituitary and also the hypothalamus. And when I get there, I think I might also do, in a couple of days, do a walkthrough, an educational walkthrough like this, a bit with some screen sharing, with some anatomy, so that people can be comfortable with what it looks like, where they're at, and allowing, like I just said, the truth of anatomy and the truth of physiology. Allow the ideas as a template to be taken into your workings, and then that will guide your inner knowing to what these energy centers really feel like to you inside of you, and what they look like to you inside of you. Your body will tell you. It will make those visions come alive and real, and you will feel the sensations inside there as well, like a knowing of where they are and how they fit together within you. And having some visuals can be helpful, but just like I said, don't jam your feelings into that. If that doesn't resonate, if the visuals feel off to you, go with what feels on and right to you. But yeah, there's some kind of different beliefs once we get up into the centers, right, into the third eye center, to the crown chakra, where that resides at, and also the centers above that. And of course, there's lots of other higher chakras and different layerings and lenses that we can look at it as. But for this working, for personal energy alchemy, I think, the first seven is just fine to start at. Of course, I linked them in, and I did talk about this within the densities. And when I bring up the pictures, the densities model has 9 through it. And everything is marked in octaves, with a 9 as, an 8 octave, with the 9 as the sacred holding boundary, reconnecting and confirming the space. So when we talk about 8 and 9 chakras inside people, Western and Eastern have conflicting and different ideas of how that gets incorporated. And so I just want to leave that kind of open, and I just want to offer the understandings that, to allow the densities to guide you into how your body can be a part of the ether space around you, part of the collective of humanity, part of the collective of Earth, and part of the whole universe. And that's kind of what 8 and 9 can be seen about. Whereas 8 is kind of your whole, your aspect. It's the completion of you as an individual, and 9 becomes the completion of you as the human and within the collective, and your piece of the fractal of the whole of humanity, the whole picture, so to say. That can be a great sort of filler for those spaces. So with all of that kind of led up here, I'm going to bring up my 3 images here and give a little walkthrough, so I can keep this video short, and also get to what I want to talk about, right? Here we go. Wait, why won't it let me share more than one thing? Okay, so the initial picture here that I'm sharing is of the tower. And this is the, visualization that I made to kind of go along with the tower meditation. Of course, your tower doesn't have to look like this. It doesn't have to be it can be whatever you want it to be. You know, it doesn't even have to be made a building. You know, it can be a tree, it can be a funnel, it can be, excuse me, a channel. Like, you know, it could be a funnel if you feel that shape as well. You know, I personally really like the image of the tower, especially because we can work through metaphors of cleaning in a room, cleaning a physical space, and really bring that physical spaciousness, and that solid kind of material, real grasp, um, you know, the thickness. I can't think of the words this morning. I'm so sorry. But, you know, you can manifest, you can visualize, you can create more realistic imagery, a more real experience for yourself sometimes when we have this more classic model of physicality to work with, I feel. And so this is why, you know, I've created more of a tower model. Um, it has a lot of different shades of working available too when you look at it that way. So we see here, like, it's set against the rainbow coloration, and that's on purpose, of course. It has to do with the chakras, it has to do with the seven rays, it has to do with the whole setup of the densities as well. And so, just as a quick um, reference here, I'm going to bring in the density model here. Sorry, bear with me. I'm like not Zoom friendly. I knew I should have done this a little bit better. Did I not even open it? Okay. I really thought there was a way to share more than one. Let's see. Oh yeah, there is. Oh, here we go. Okay. So here we have the chakras next to the densities, right? I hope. I believe we do. Let's see. Yes, we do. Perfect. Okay. So as you can see, I have made just a quick model of the chakras here. We have root, sacral, solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And next to it, I have my guide to the densities. And we have first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth. Now, just as the root chakra is our base, it sits at the base of our spine. It is what touches the earth when we sit down. It is what connects us and roots us to earth. It roots us to our lineage, to our ancestry, to our role here as, you know, the human that we are. It also embodies and works with this base level consciousness, the survival instincts, you know, those really deep and ingrained functions are represented within the root of our beingness and our root chakra. Of course, it's compatible with the color red, and it also has to do with, um, like I said, family, how we're connected, how supported we are, whether we feel worthy or not, has to do with a lot of the root chakra. Like having problems with the root chakra can surface, like insecurities, whether it has to do with personality, it has to do with love, it has to do with social responsibilities or with financial responsibilities. All those kind of insecurities come up with the root chakra. Um, it can also be, you know, where you fit in the world, where your place is within your direct family units or your direct relationships that you're involved with. Um, Anything that is kind of a deep-seated, has to do with childhood, has to do with things that you came into this world with or bearing or part of, infringed with, that you could feel like, right, is the root. And when we look at the tower model, the root is the first floor, right? And let's see if actually I can do this good enough to get all three in here together. If I might. We have the tower. Maybe I can put this right here and then have this one. Bear with me, guys. Thank you so much for bearing with me in my terrible skills of Zoom. So, as we see here on the tower, right at the far left hand, the root is the first floor. And the way that I like to walk through it, and the way that I will, and I did in the tower meditation, is helpful to see the root, like the root cellar of the house, right? That sort of underground area, that base level that is inside of the earth, that is dug out. It has the foundation of the whole house around it. A lot of times it has storage down there. We think of it, especially a root cellar, right? It has all your stores of all your food. Perhaps like your valuables might be down there, like all the things that you want to keep safe and store, you put down there. I also love to incorporate with a visual of the root and the root cellar as seeing and being in more of that old world sort of caveman or real tribal ancient kind of feeling of what um, that gathering space in the home, the kitchen kind of cooking area used to be. And we, you would have like a dirt floor with like a big hearth, a big fire down there, a big pot. You'd have a gathering of people down there. Especially if, when we take it back and back into time, and we see, that space of the home, the real gathering space to come together for food and sharing and speaking and everything was kind of the kitchen, was the eating space, was the dinner time kind of thing. And so I have that feeling wrapped up into the tower, into this first floor, into the root cellar area, a really primal, really connected, what's the word for it? Sort of like base level, before, I'm trying to think of what the word is before you put your makeup on. I forget what the word is, but like a clean face, you know what I mean? Like that's what it is. The when everything's kind of rinsed away, the bare bones of it is what the root chakra represents, in this base level of the tower. So let's get into number 2 now here. The second chakra is the sacral chakra. And that is above the base of your spine, sort of around like the pubic area, or the mid stomach, below the belly button. The sacral chakra is aligned with the color orange, and it really has to do with emotions, passions, fluid flowing, how you ignite your fire, and how you express yourself within relationships and social settings, and those more emotional kind of instances and interactions, has to do with the second chakra. Now the second density in itself is also orange ray. It has to do with the seeking of light. It has to do with the pulling in and desire of more, wanting of more knowledge, wanting of more love, wanting a deepness, a purpose, craving that. And the second density in itself is something which seeks light, right? It is conscious in itself, enough and only enough to want more from the creator. It has this primal, very innate, instinctual quality to it that isn't really ready for rational thought yet. It lives through feelings, it lives through the gut. It is in your guts. And it's has to do with sexual energy, kundalini, a lot of that kind of stuff as well has to do with the sacral chakra. If you have any kind of disturbances or things with this sacral chakra, you'll see issues with intimacy, issues with sexuality, issues with things like writer's block, creativity, getting creative juices flowing. You might have authority issues or feel oppressed. You might be really struggling with the slave master cycle, getting out of tyranny and enslaving yourself, kind of things that happen within, distortions of the sacral chakra. In the tower model here on the far left, the second floor of the tower is really kind of what we see as the first floor of, the house. Up one level, it's not rooted in the basement area, it's not half in the ground sort of thing like the root chakra. Now we're at the first floor, and what I like to say and see in the tower example of the second floor, holding the bedrooms, the sitting rooms, the living areas, the smoking room, say, all these kind of, the dining room, the places where you bring in company, formal company, where you entertain and you share, and the bedrooms especially as well, places that you sleep and you reside and you share intimate experiences within those places. All of those are what I show and what I feel and walk through in the second level of the tower and in your second energy center. Another good thing, and I love to incorporate into the second energy center in this floor, it's not just those rooms that you might entertain in or share intimate experiences in, or go to relax in, but also those that you go to create in, like hobbies or trades or and things like that. Anything that has a passion that drives you to create, whether it's an artistic form of creation or it's a more usable sort of down to earth inventions or engineering or whatever, right? Whatever your calling is, the second floor would also hold a space for that, like a hobby room, craft room, yeah, an invention room, maybe, if you're into, biology or chemistry or whatever, maybe the lab, that you have in that space, or a music room or whatever, whatever the case might be that you love to do. Those kind of fueling, passionate hobbies and spaces are also incorporated in the second floor. The third center is our solar plexus center, and that is the third chakra. It is right around the belly button, right at that center of your abdomen space. It's yellow in color and generally reflects the ego center, is kind of what we call it, your power center, how you assert yourself in the world. And it's parallel to the third density. And the third density is all about self-awareness. It is all about conscious growth, conscious responsibility, and learning how to make choices for yourself, learning what consequences are, learning about duality. This is the third density, is where polarity starts to pick up momentum. It starts to play a role. It starts to really get a chance to affect the ether space within the dimensions and density. Earth in itself, right, is created within this space perfectly to hold and sit within this third density. For so long it has been. And I don't want to get into the shifts in ascension, but we are gradually, we're graduating and we're moving to fourth density. So keep that in mind as we go through what we're talking about here. But the third density in itself is like I said, about self-awareness. If you have awareness of the individual self, you are in third density. The the issues you might feel or you might see, and that can be addressed with the kind of meditations and work through with the solar plexus, can all have to do a lot with inner child, the ego, feelings of um, distorted knowing, of holding power over others, the kind of tyrancy, um, desires that we have really get a chance to play a role and really get a chance to express themselves in the third density and in the third chakra and in this third floor of the tower. So if you're noticing, power struggles, if you feel like you need to be right all the time, or the reverse, you feel like you're wrong all the time, or if you feel like a need to prove yourself to people, or yourself even, if you have confidence issues or you're overconfident, if you have a lot of aggression or forcefulness within you, aggravations, a lot of those kind of feelings can come from entanglements and distortions within the third chakra, within your solar plexus. um, the floor and in the tower model is above, every floor is higher. So I'm not going to be like a broken record, but of course it's a higher feeling, and it has to do with like the business center sort of mind. So this third floor, I like to see it as, and I forgot to say the second floor, I guess, and sometimes I like to see windows in the second floor. I don't usually do windows in the first floor at all. But second chakra, second layering, sometimes I put some windows, and if you get a chance to look out the windows or to see what you could see outside of the tower at that level, it would be a view of like your backyard or your front yard or your garden, your little intimate space that is your outside space of your tower. Um, looking down into the backyard and maybe seeing a fence around it, or looking out the front yard, or whatever. That's kind of the view that you would get from the first floor, and that you're able to see, and that draws your attention when you're in that floor. The third floor now, the solar plexus floor is a little higher, and your view is a little higher as well up here. So if you to look out the windows and get a sense of where you're at in this stage of the tower, if you were to look out the windows, you would see your local community, your little city, or your big city, wherever your tower is facing and faced at, because it's individual to all of us. But the flow and the feeling of the third center is one of business, career, asserting yourself out in a community, how you interact with groups and larger bodies of humans working together versus individuals, how you present yourself out into the world, and how you go for what you want. And so, like I said, if you could, and if you do look out the window at this floor, you would see like your local community, or maybe if you're more business minded, you might see like your little city center with like you know, your service out there, your goods out there, or something, your customers out there. That would be your focus and your view when you look out the windows. The shape in the center itself will focus around maybe your home office. You could visualize, if you're not like a business minded person, this can be a place, maybe you could see it as your bank, your energy storage, the place where your money comes in and out of, the place where you do your billing and your scheduling and your finances at. If you're more of like a creative kind of artistic person, you can see this as maybe like the gallery, the place where you offer up your service. Or if you're a dancer, or whatever, you know what I mean? It could be like the box office kind of thing. There's many different workings, and you'll find what kind of office, career field, feeling works for you in your third center. Your imagination will take you there. It'll build it out for you. But Oh, and also I kind of forgot to mention this, but I am going over the colors. And what I usually do too when I do the tower walkthrough is generally I see that coloration in the furniture, in the aesthetics, in the feel. Um, so like the first floor would be kind of dark red, like a earthy red kind of feeling, dark fire, you know what I mean? Like that red, deep red reflection that you get in firelight. Um, the second floor, of course, like orange things, the wallpaper, the carpet might be orange, maybe the bedspreads are orange, maybe you have orange, different shadings of orange. And perhaps it's like more of a sunrise time with the orange, or a sunset time. So it's like an orangey kind of setting in there with the lighting. And then the third center that we're talking about now, is yellow, and everything would be in yellow shadings that are preferable to you. And perhaps this is like a high noon time or a high sunrise time to where bright yellow sun can come in. And when you look out at your community from that level in the windows, perhaps you see beautiful yellow sun shining as well. um, I like to incorporate that in as well. So if you're feeling like, you're having issues with business, you're having issues finding your footing, or perhaps exerting yourself in a correct way, you can get in here and do a lot of work with this ego center, and finding out what kind of boss you want to be, and where your sovereign responsibilities at. Are you even tapped into that, or are you skipping right over this fourth center of the heart to just get into the cognitive mind, and manipulate things, and reason and logic are speaking out from the top down out your throat, totally subverting, diverting your heart, and it's not even coming into um, communication when you're speaking, almost directly from your solar plexus, from your ego. It's a very dangerous place to be in. It's very negatively aligned when you divert and you try to skirt around the heart center. Many of us do this because it can be very uncomfortable for different reasons, traumatic reasons, and things we hide from ourselves, etc. But just know that if you're feeling a lot of extremes happening in the solar plexus, if it feels very out of sorts to you, very dirty, very clogged up, chaotic in there, then the work and the corrections actually don't happen in the solar plexus. Work at the heart center, speak with the heart center, and the heart center will then guide the clearings that need to happen and strengthen the root and the sacral. Because if the root and the sacral are balanced and strong, they have a better chance of outshining the out of balance solar plexus energy and light, and creating a better, more supportive notion for that ego to sit in and know that it is rooted, and know that it is wanted, and know that it is special, and that it is held. And then it can dim out. Then you'll find more able to cleanse and clear out of there. But if you just go right in there and you start mixing up things, and you go at it from, the tyrant way that the solar plexus can make us, you're going to have a lot of distortions and a lot of false starts, things that just don't work out correctly, things, healing that doesn't, happen, or it happens halfway and then it comes back even worse. Like poking at a scab of an infected thing or something. Just leave it alone and work on the heart center. The heart will always guide you. And especially, like I said before, we're transitioning, right? We are pulling, Earth is pulling herself from third to fourth density. And some of us have moved forward already. Some of us are kind of lingering. Some of us really don't want to get out of third density, and are anchored into second density even. So if you feel that way, get into the heart center. And now let's get up into the heart center. I won't take too long on this walkthrough. So fourth center is the heart center, as we've talked about. It is represented by green. It is, of course, in the center of your chest, right around where your heart is located, but more in the center. Of course, though, it does definitely reflect and work with the heart organ itself. Sorry, I have to plug my computer in. I just realized it's getting really low. Now, the heart center, of course, is kind of self-explanatory for a lot of people. A lot of people are very aware of the heart and what it incorporates and stuff. But it is, just in case anybody is kind of new to chakras or anything like that, the heart center is all about empathy, compassion, communication, unity, consciousness. We are one, seeing bigger pictures on things, acceptance, allowance, moving through. Of course, love, unconditional love. Um, this is where sometimes miscommunication happens between the love aspect of the sacral chakra, the love aspect of the heart chakra. Um, Love, in this sense, unconditional love, is not an intimate, romantic, sexual love. This love is unconditional love. This is brotherly love, and the fourth density reflects community, awareness and empathy. So basically, being a part, a responsible part of the social whole is what fourth density is all about. Living from the heart, listening to it, allowing it to be and speak, and giving it space to really hold the center of your being that it should be. Through third density and through all the programming, the matrix negative overlays that really have been put upon third density Earth, it makes us feel like our center is the ego, is the bright yellow light, and that is the most important thing, and that should really um, be the center of our being, and it should sort of be like the center of us, what everything revolves around, why we're doing things. But in all honesty, our true center, and especially as we're moving towards graduation, we need to pull up focus and pull up the centering, and realize the heart is the true center of the human being. We are energetic, emotional beings. We are multi-faceted, and also we work within multi-dimensions, multi-densities, multiple layers of different things happening all at once between us. And the heart really controls the intention. The heart is what kind of is the amplifier and the resonator out of your frequencies, how you speak with the ether, and how you interact with the universe. And so becoming more heart-centered, of course, is really it can be a step one, certainly, because it can help, like I said just a moment ago. It will tell you how to align the others, and it will shine brighter than all the others to help the others know, either dim it down or brighten it up, either slow it down or speed it up. The heart does this the best because it comes from, like I said, this place of unconditional love, this place of acceptance, like a mother kind of feeling vibe, where all the other chakras are her children. And of course, she loves each one for all their individual perfectness, and she sees all their faults as potentials for growth and as potentials for definition, and she knows the right nudges and pushes and little whispers and hugs that are needed when they're needed, and a little bit of tough pushing when it's needed. The heart will speak to you about all of that, and it will guide the workings and the balancing. But you have to get on it first. You have to clear it. You've got to be willing to listen to it. You've got to be willing to speak from your heart, and to be courageous enough to go forth with what it's saying and allow it to know its truth and your truth. And that can be a very scary place, especially we have these anchors to third density saying that's not safe. You're not safe to do that. You're not meant to do that. Really trying to pull us down into the physical world, and to get us to forget about energetic spirituality, get us to forget about the ether or higher purpose or anything like that. So just know and be aware of these kind of entanglements, the magnetic pulling that happens, that is always happening. We're all under the influence of that. There's no way to get out of it in the range that we're incarnated in right now. So best to be aware and best to understand, and just work with it. The fourth center in the tower is all about the heart center, and the color is green. Let me get that out of the way first and foremost. I don't think I really went around to that. What I love to do for the heart center is to build a palace, a throne room, what's the other kind of thing? Like cathedral kind of space, a big open, tall, wide, formal, very elegant, um, very ancient, and what's the word for um, like when you display relics and you have all of like the crests and the swords and all of the special jewelry, all of the things that you've inherited and been passed down, like with things that have great sentimental value and all that kind of stuff. Like whatever kind of space that you might display all of that at, whether it's like a giant museum, maybe it's a big orchestra hall, maybe it's a monastery or church, maybe it's a throne room or a palace like mine. Um, but a big, expansive, open space that's full of um, reverence and purpose. And that's why I really like the vision of a palace throne room, because it has that gravity to it. It has that kind of like um, special occasions kind of thing. Oh, a formal dining room or formal sitting room. Maybe people grew up with one. I didn't grow up with one of these, but I know friends who did. And they had like this one room in the house that you were never allowed to go in. It had like a dining room table, maybe a couch, and really nice furniture that was like covered in plastic. And it had maybe like all the good silverware and stuff like put up in a beautiful like casing. And that was like the room nobody's allowed in unless you had special company, a special dinner. Then everything got brought out and you were in there. And but otherwise you never went in there. Everything was covered and you couldn't touch it. That kind of gated off, specially held space. That's what I feel the fourth floor in this heart center is. Feel free to make it your own like you did, or feel free to use the palace throne room option like I do. I really find so much intricate working within that. um, and then for me personally, of course the color's green, so everything's green. But what I love to see and envision a lot of times is beautiful, tall stained glass windows, like in a church, but they're all of a green coloration. And I see, like, I do have a throne for my divine masculine and feminine in there, and I also have what I've created in the center as like the well, a pool, portal, cistern kind of circular holding space in the center of that room, where is my eternal sovereign flame, the well of unconditional love that I tap into and that each of us has. And it does reside in this space in your heart center. It doesn't have to be a well or a cistern, or it can be a central channel, it can be a glowing light, it can be a flame sitting there, it could be whatever, it comes up to you as. But for me, that's what I like to see it as. And this space, like I said, it holds my divine masculine and feminine aspects inside there. And I found great working to do inside there with those as well. Um, the fourth center in itself, if you're noticing problems, or if you feel like you're wondering if you have problems, if you feel pressure, congestion, chest pains, collapse, if you find yourself like this, hunched over a lot, like your shoulders forward, feeling like you need to protect the front of you, or whatever, um, that can definitely signify more physical reasons, indications that your heart center is disconnected. Um, it can come up as blocked off, shut off, like you can't even feel anything, a lack of empathy, or it can be really triggered, really extreme emotions that will, really get you going. If you notice any of those kind of extremes, or if you notice this lack of self-worth, lack of self-love, definitely the heart center is where to start at. I mean, I feel the heart center in general is where to start at anyways. But that's just my personal belief. I feel the majority of people are cut off, or muted or diluted in the conversation with the heart. So I think starting there is always really important. Again, the fourth center, if you look out in the windows, what I love to view from this higher site to see out is like rolling green hills or a forest around you if you like that, a jungle. natural life, like when you're kind of higher up from earth and all you can see is kind of like the landscape of it, the greenness of it, the mountains, whatever it is that your setting is, from this higher space in the heart center, when you look out, it's not focused on community, it's not focused on your small little backyard, it's focused on a grander view. And it incorporates organic natural earth in Mother Earth, especially a deep connection to that. So when you look out from this view, it's a green view, and feel free to create that however you want. But it's one that creates more of a connected humanity and earth as one being kind of sight and vision. The fifth center is the throat center. It is categorically the color light blue, like a blue sky, a baby blue kind of coloration. And when we get into the fifth density is unity focused. It's that higher choice. It is what it is. It's all for the higher good. It's that ability to see beyond duality and to see the full scope. So instead of seeing dark and light and this working back and forth and this like balancing that needs to happen between it, fifth density sees the whole working of balancing and says, thank God we have this working. Thank you for the working, the whole. You might see the front of the coin, the back of the coin, before fifth density, but at fifth density you see the whole coin as it is. It's a coin, and what's it worth? What's the workings for the coin, and how do we use the coin? A lot of times the throat chakra and unity focused consciousness represents truth, things as they are, acceptance, just allowing and encouraging that which is to be seen for what it is, without bias, without judgments, without feeling like you're going to have consequences or repercussions. It's that full acceptance of things that are. The throat center in itself is in your throat, and we see it usually in the middle, about of the middle of your throat. And if you are noticing tickly throat, coughing, having trouble speaking, sore throats, aggravation in the throat, hard time breathing, those are all great physical symptoms of having issues with this energy center. Also, if you have a problem speaking your truth, if you have a problem speaking, if you have a problem expressing yourself, this is all symptoms of issues, distortions here in the throat center. The the thing is, and I'll say this very quickly because I kind of talked about diverting already and how people kind of skip over the heart center and just jump into the logical mind, and then the logical mind will get to the fifth center with distorted truths and speak them out because we're not listening. We're blockading the heart and being like, shut up down there, no, we don't care, this and this is really true, that's what happens. If instead, within that heart center and that beautiful palace space, that whatever you're building in there, you can allow a skylight, you can allow an open window, you could allow even like the ancient colosseums that were open to the sky, right? You can see that in the top of your heart center palace or whatever you're creating for that tower room space. Know that that is open and that is there, and that when you're in the heart center, spend some time also looking up, right? Seeing the expansive openness, seeing the blue sky shining through, allowing that to come through and to open up space and shed light in the heart center as well, because the heart center can be very curtained off. All your windows could be curtained up and you could be really uncomfortable and in the dark in there and in shadows and really hurt in a corner thinking you're in a prison cell. I've had a lot of workings and deep shadow workings to where I feel like I found lift up in the boards on the floor that I didn't know was there, and down in there it's like a prison cell where I've stuffed my divine, feminine, my divine masculine, my inner child, maybe all these many different times I've done workings like this, right? But stuffed it down into this sort of like prison down on, or like storage space down under the floor, like cast them away and shut it and then put a carpet on top of it and try to pretend they're not there. And then my ego, my inner child, like stomping around in the heart center, like forcing things and pretending it doesn't hear, the inner child like knocking, can I come out? You know, um, that kind of metaphor, that kind of working. If we remember and we open up all the windows and we let the truth shine in, like this is what I've done, and opened up that skylight and the truth shines in, and you notice, wait a minute, that the floor doesn't meet here. There's holes in the floor. There's a crack. I see a handle. Pull it up, and down there, oh my gosh, there's a whole second layer to the heart center I didn't even realize was down there. And for me, this little underflooring second layer of the heart center that resides deep down in there, it should be like archives. It should be that deep connection where we do store things at, but in a reverent way. The like a oh, I forget what the word is, but um, now I can't think of the word either. Oh, like a museum sort of atmosphere, where kings and queens might keep all of their special jewelry, their swords, all their gems and jewels, and all the things from kings before them, and things like that, that you keep to hold and to have memory of and to honor, but you don't really touch them, like archives, a sacred space of holding. Um, I know there's a better word for this than like a vault, but a vault space kind of, I guess, is really what I'm trying to create here. But under the floorboards, yeah, I found like what should be a vault. It should be, but I noticed I had turned it into a prison cell sort of instead. But I did a lot of cleansing and clearing down there, and that was years ago that I had that little kind of insight and workings. But I was led to that through my own creative imagination space and through opening my heart and throat, and deciding and discerning for myself that I was going to speak my truth. So as soon as I realized and take responsibility and acceptance for speaking truth and started working with my throat center, that brought in this great working of, wait a minute, the floor of my throat center is glass. I can see right through the bottom of it. Actually, my whole throat center, I like to see as glass. I like to see it as an open area, like on this vision here, you can see of the tower. There's sort of like those windows up there with the peaks, and if you can see around the edges, like maybe there's a walkway, right? Maybe those doors are those windows are doors, and you could open them up and stand out there, like balconies, or like an owlry, or some place that has like a um, bird, I forget what the bird houses are called, but that open space that just like has the air flying through it. You can go and enjoy the view up there. And I see it with a glass floor, and looking down, you can see right into your heart center. And for me, that opening up and that bridging the connection and allowing that to happen, and sometimes even taking the floor out and just seeing it as a beautiful open skylight that like an elevator goes through, or a hot air balloon comes up and through the heart out of. Um, that kind of working really expanded my this whole working basically. um, so yeah, the throat center that's what I like to see it as. The coloring is blue, of course. I like to see it as open and a beautiful blue day in that area. And yes, like I said, I like to see either windows or just straight open. Feel the breeze, feel the openness in there. The view, of course, is like just the sky. You're so high up that it's a beautiful blue day. You see just the sky up there, maybe some clouds floating through. Um, but there is a cleansingness that comes with the throat center, and with activating and clearing it out here. And so, like I said, that's kind of the tower space that I get into. That's what's the available view. That's the feel of it. Feel free to create differently for yourself as well. And sometimes I do. Sometimes I alter it. Sometimes it's more of a blue floor, and I have to open the windows and let things fly through and let things fly out. Like I said, your imagination will guide you more in depth and make more personal fits for you. Oh, and I also didn't talk about the densities either for fifth. No, I did. Fifth density, unity focused. Okay, so sixth. This is where I'm going to give a little bit of alterations here because the third eye center, sometimes, like I said, we have Western and Eastern different beliefs of like what's going on and how many energy centers are in there and everything. And I love to see the three energy centers that I spoke of at the beginning, the pineal gland, the pituitary, and the hypothalamus, sort of as this beautiful triad. And if anybody is familiar with vortex mathematics or understanding the 369 value, I'll get into that deeper and we can talk all about those glands and the value of 3, 6, and 9 and the making of energy, right? That happens. But that's how I like to see and incorporate all of them into the same space. The sixth chakra is the indigo ray. It is dark blue, that kind of almost purpley, darkish blue color of indigo. The sixth density is creative consciousness. It is the centering that focuses around sacred geometries and the coagulation of all of the spiritual, energetic, non-physical aspects of being. And then six incorporates physical aspects and starts to create form, structure, more defined purposes. And yes, it's the indigo coloring, the darker blue coloring. The things that you might notice that are off if you are having a lot of clouding in this sixth center in your third eye, is definitely problems sleeping, problems incorporating new information, problems with creation, imagination. Like I said, a lot of these things can really be healed and worked through by activating the heart center and by allowing that heart center to speak and run information freely up into this sixth center. It will really provide great light and comforting glow to do the work at. Now, for the tower aspect of the sixth center, what I love to see this next step up, sometimes I see like a ladder climbing up through the throat center, or stairway, that's sort of outside. It's like a spiraling outside of the building of the tower to bring you up into the sixth level, which I love to see as an observatory, or sort of like observatory slash library slash main deck of like a spaceship, or a rocket ship or whatever, or an airplane, where it's all, all those buttons and all those things, all the control mechanisms, but out in front of you is like the sky at night, darkness with stars in it. And in this sixth center, in my observatory center, I build out a lot of, I see a lot of like different buttons flashing, printers working, all the kind of processing things, screens and running things going on one side, a lot of kind of like technological, electronic kind of things going on one side, and maybe having other more elegant machinery on the other side, like telescopes and barometers and all these kind of like spinning, changing measurement things and work tables and maybe some like sketches and graphs and like invention building, like all a space for all that kind of stuff. And I love to see like also sort of like a library space. I also generally incorporate a library kind of space into my heart center as well. But here in the sixth center in my observatory, it is it's a bit more informational setting, it has a more intellectual vibe to it. And like I said, the color is indigo. The field of view from the tower I like to see as a night sky, or outer space sort of kind of view, like you would get from a telescope at night or whatever. That's the view I like to see out of here. And finally, seventh chakra is the crown, which is sort of seen as outside of your body here, right above your head, in traditional sense. It is represented by the color violet, and the seventh density is the violet ray. And that has to do with spiritual ascension. It has to do with understanding. Now, you've seen five, which is the full view of the coin. You go through six, which is okay. I now have the coin and now see the coin. How do we um, enable the best functions and creative kind of things I can at this level, with being able to be interacting with the coin instead of looking at the face, looking at the tail, being in that tiny view of the coin. Six is interacting with that. And seven is knowing that you have this spiritual responsibility available to you, and available to the whole, and that how you are a part of the whole, and how that spiritual responsibility impacts the whole as well. um, Seven is a lot like fourth, except instead of coming out of physicality and superficiality to heart-centeredness and incorporating spirituality into the physical world, it's like the second level to that. It's like incorporating true spirituality from higher densities, unfiltered spirituality, down over the whole of the creation, um, the physical, the energetic, and the spiritual creation, versus four, which is just like the physical creation that has to do with two and three. So yeah, that's what seventh density is mostly talked about as and described as. And like I said, it has to do with this darker coloration, violet, purple. And for my, oh, actually, first let me say, if you're feeling the crown chakra can be off of balance, and it can really feel like an oppressive state. It can really be a victimization, stuck in it. You can't get out of it. It can be like an overwhelming, sort of negative, self-fulfilling prophecy you can't get out of. You feel entrapped by. You feel like it encompasses your whole entire world, and that it's external and forcing you in some kind of way. That's really also, I will say that misconceptions or distortions within the seventh chakra can really bring in a lot of negative information as well. It can be like your shadow screaming out and bringing in all things negative towards you, like magnetically pulling in all the things that you don't want because your shadow wants them. To bring it into the tower example, and I love to see the seventh as not even a real floor. I like to view the crown chakra, take it to the seventh level. In my observatory, I would either, see an elevator, a lift, a glass elevator, a magical rope to climb up, or to fly out, or for gravity to get turned off, like quote unquote gravity, or whatever, that hot air balloon, a rocket ship, whatever resides good with you, something to take you up and out of the physical tower, out of the physicality of your body, and above it, and into imagination space, into outer space, out into space around your tower. Maybe it's like a Zeppelin balloon or whatever, some way that you could get up and out and feel that, and feel what it feels like to be up out of there, up out of you, up out of restrictions and confinement, and take it for a ride, and see what that brings to you, because there's a lot of wonderful workings that can happen when we can get there. So this has been my little walkthrough of all of the chakras and how they run parallel to the densities, all in a hopes to give better definition to my tower meditations. And if you are already excited and you like this idea, feel free to take it into your own meditation time. You don't even have to do my meditations, and you don't have to wait for them to be put up. Take them into your own and make them your own. I'd love to hear about it. If you do, you can send me emails. I'd love to hear about your personal experiences with that kind of practice, or you can put comments or replies depending on where you're seeing this video, whether it's on my website or on BitChute or YouTube. Feel free to leave a comment about your experiences, or how you see things differently. I'd love to. If you have more depth or more insights into densities, or anything really, feel free to leave a reply. Like I said at the very start, this has been an introduction, a walkthrough through our towers, through our self, our chakra systems, and also through the sequential flow of the densities, how information flows, how we move through things. Just as a guiding point, a railing, to help us all in great energy alchemy work. And so I hope you will keep a lookout for my individual chakra walkthroughs, the cleanse and clears that I'm going to be putting out for the tower, each floor. I'll do a little walkthrough based on a cleanse and clear is what I'm going to do first. And so it will be like a clearing out of the floors and an organization, specifically through the tower model. And then wait for feedback and see how people like it. And then maybe we'll turn the perspective onto another sort of theme and move through balancing and things like that, or igniting the energy centers or whatever. We'll see where it takes us. But for now, thank you so much for listening to me. I hope that you have enjoyed this conversation. I hope you'll tune in for my new playlist coming out. In the meantime, you can check out my original tower meditation, which is in the descriptions. And I will see you soon. Thank you again so much for your service to our beautiful collective. I hope you will take the reins in both hands, claim your sovereign responsibility, and start doing this internal work for yourself. You'll feel the benefits, you'll see them. It speaks for itself when you start to get it going. It really does. And like I mentioned before, if you have questions, individual things, if you have concerns, or maybe like blockages that you can't move through, or strange visuals that you're being presented with, feel free to send me an email if you would like insight. I'm always available for that as well. So I guess I will leave it at that for today. Have a beautiful day or evening wherever in the world you are, and I hope that you'll tune in next time. See you soon.